Kavanaugh from Concord, who headed up the effort to win ranked choice voting home rule here in Concord. And we have Bonnie Bain from Salem. Salem's at an earlier stage in the process. She's doing great work moving the conversation forward in Salem and organizing people in Salem to make it happen there as well. So I'm just going to pass the mic down. We're going to hear from these individuals, just talk about their experiences, what it took to advance ranked choice, what it was like. And after we hear a little bit from each, we'll take some questions and hear questions about passing it at the local level. So, Tom, City Councilor from Easthampton, go ahead.
Hi everyone, my name's Tom Peake. It's awesome to be here, seeing all these people I haven't seen in a really long time. Oh, I was wondering how that was going to go. Yeah, okay. So, hi everybody, it's great to be here. My ranked choice voting story actually started before I was a city councilor, when me and Liz helped to start the Western Mass chapter of Voter Choice Mass back in 2017. And then it was later in 2017 when I learned that the person who was my precinct city councilor for the part of Easthampton that I live in, was running for mayor, which left that seat open. I decided to throw my hat in the ring, just thinking, if someone else comes up who's more qualified, I'll just duck out. And nobody did, so I won by default. And I've since won by default 2 more times without ever facing an opponent. So that's been, miracles of democracy. So when I ran, though, I was pretty open about just saying that, I didn't want to just run sort of generic, I'm going to be here to solve problems. I really wanted to say, here are things that I actually care about. And so one of the things that I put on my page and that I spoke about when I was knocking on doors is that I really think that Easthampton would benefit from ranked choice voting. And Easthampton is one of only a few cities in Massachusetts which does not and has never had a preliminary system. When we became a city in 1996, people just decided, it's a small town, it's only 16,000 people, it's just expensive, we don't need it. So they didn't have a preliminary. First mayoral election, there's 7 candidates. One candidate wins with 33% and then is the mayor for 16 years. So, and there's also been, in the meantime, basically, elections in Easthampton when there's an incumbent are usually very sleepy. When there's not an incumbent, they are often quite packed, and there's been a number of times where a candidate has won with less than a majority of the vote. So I got really lucky in that on an unrelated issue sort of around sanctuary cities, we ended up in a bit of a constitutional crisis as a city where we just didn't actually have a really good idea of what power our charter gave the city council. So I decided this was my moment and said, well, we really need a charter committee. And just transparently, my entire plan the whole time was just to talk about ranked choice voting. So we get in there and we start talking, and we get to chapter 7, which is where we want to put that's elections, and I pitched this ranked choice voting idea. I think the city council president had seen this coming, though, and just put in just sort of Chamber of Commerce types, a lot of the sort of the standard people who are on every committee, and and who just very openly from the beginning were sort of against this idea, but I thought, well, maybe I could sell them. And so one of the things I did was early on they said, I don't know about this, it's too confusing. And I said, well, I get that, guys, but I really want you to hear me out on this because it's something that's very important to me. And because this matters so much to me, and because I know these meetings are running late, I want to buy pizza for everybody at the next meeting. And they say, okay, great. I'm like, cool, we got 7 pizza places in Easthampton. Here's a ranked choice ballot. So, they filled it out, and we got it. At the end of the day, I will say this, it is my plan to eventually, for our at-large seats on the council and in school committee, to get multi-winner ranked choice voting, but in that, those hectic days of getting this passed, okay, yeah, this is an important part, and I'm a little sleep deprived, so I hope I can do this in a somewhat linear way. We decided to do this as a legislative petition that's then ratified by the voters. What that realistically means is that you need to get it to the legislature in the spring because they take forever. To give you an idea of how much they take forever, we had a bunch of other stuff that we didn't think was going to have to go to the ballot, so we put that as a separate legislative petition that we sent after this all went through. It was signed by the governor this week. This all happened in 2019, right? So that's like the natural pace that these things are going. But we were able to get this all sent out in May, which was even then a little bit later than we wanted. But it meant that we didn't have as much time to deliberate on all of this as we wanted, and as a result, we took a vote, and I just didn't have enough time to really get a lot of people to understand the multi-winner stuff. So it ended up just being for our single winner seats, so that's the mayor and the precinct councilors, with the idea being that once people had done this a little bit, they'd go, well, why can't we do this for the at-large seats too? It makes more sense. So that's on my agenda, but we didn't get that in round one. We had to lobby the legislature for the whole summer. It ended up passing September 15th. So that gave us 6 weeks. No one really wanted to commit to campaigning too hard for something that we didn't know if the legislature was just going to say, no, you can't do that. So for the time the legislature gave us the green light to put this on the ballot until the actual election was 6 weeks. It was a very, very hectic campaign, heavy social media. This is 2019, so COVID hasn't happened yet. It's really heavy social media, but also, to Greg's point from earlier, we were able to get out there. For example, I think, actually, Liz, I think you helped design this, or maybe it was Dan, I forget. These ballots that just said, favorite thing about fall, right? And it was like football, Halloween, sweater weather, foliage, whatever, like all of that stuff. And so we were able to go to all the farmers markets and the outdoor food trucks and beer festivals and just all these sort of non-political events that they would let us have a table. And we were able to go up to people and say, hey, just fill this out, and with just no explanation, right? Really just get the ballot, can you do this? And everyone could do it. And I also like to give them to kids. Because when your 6-year-old can fill it out, it's not too complicated. So it was sort of a whirlwind election, 6 weeks, and we ended up winning with 56, 57% of the vote, I want to say. So it was a stronger majority than a couple of the other things. We voted on new school, we've gotten a new mayor, and I kind of knew that was going to be basically the constituency that we were targeting, as people who are kind of interested in this new stuff. But we were able to win, and then we implemented it. We had a committee that worked on figuring out the exact language of the ordinance. We appropriated money for the software, and in the fall of last year, we had our first ranked choice election. Most of the candidates were pretty low quality, if I'm being super honest. They were kind of people protest candidates who weren't really seriously running. So the incumbent won with 68% of the vote, and there was never a need for a second round. But a lot of people were able to go in and say, well, this is who I'd support, and if I didn't like them, blah, blah. And a lot of people used it, I found, to write in, a bunch of people wrote me in and then put the incumbent second, just as a way of sort of stating their actual preferences. So I was like, all right, I don't want that job. But I guess the point is we were able to do this. It was successful. If I had to say one thing to people about how to do it, or I guess I'd give two pieces of advice. One is if you're going the legislative petition road, move early and identify allies in the legislature who are going to be able to help you, because it's not a body that's designed to do stuff. And so you just like, you just run into a lot of issues there. The other thing I would say is make sure to give people, like, don't just, when you're trying to explain how ranked choice works, you don't just have to use like, well, imagine an election where you've got a Democrat and a Republican, a Libertarian and a Green Party. Like, people zone out. And if you just say like, hey, what, like pizza, beer, favorite things about fall, just to show people like, you actually know what your favorite and second favorite and third favorite thing in virtually any list of things are. It's actually not super hard. And then just trust us that once this happens, like, there's a process. You can learn about the process if you care about the process, but like, filling this out is actually not hard. I think that really helped. I think that getting out in the community helped. I think that engaging with sort of grass tops, you know, people in the community who were like trusted local leaders who you could get down and have them, even if not like campaign for it, I was able just to neutralize a couple people and to just not actively campaigning against it. Be like, yeah, I guess that makes enough sense, whatever, I don't care. That is important, right? Because if those people are going around saying, oh, I think this is stupid, you lose important votes. So, yeah, I guess that's what we did. I think I've probably gone over my time, so I'll wrap up, but yeah.